So one of the reasons that many of you found me and found my channel was through this little thing I did called Camp America. I was the Camp America video blogger for the summer of 2016. I made loads of vlogs for them and for their channel. I made loads of vlogs for my channel, and I still actually get messages from people thanking me, which is insane, for encouraging them to go to camp or messaging me for advice because they would like to go. Now this year I'm not going back to camp. I pretty much went into last year knowing that it was going to be my last year because I was graduating, I was coming back here to go into a full-time job, especially in an industry where you need to build up a reputation for being reliable in order to succeed. Turning around every 9 months and being like, bye, see you later, it's just not gonna work. It's not realistic, is it? But I do realise that my experience that I've had and any advice that I can give from that experience can help a lot of people, so I've decided to make this wee advice video thing about recruitment fairs with little bits about interviews, your first interviews, and also your application in general thrown in there. In fact, I started my application a week before the Edinburgh Recruitment Fair in 2016. I had my first initial interview 3 days before the fair, and I got hired on that day by what would later go on to become my camp. So if I'm correct in my thinking, the Edinburgh Recruitment Fair for this year is tomorrow. Tomorrow, the day that this is being uploaded, as in from the night I'm making this so difficult to explain. Today is Monday. Tomorrow is Tuesday. The Edinburgh Recruitment Fair is on the Tuesday. So the way I'm thinking about it is some of you watching this could potentially be hired by this time tomorrow. How freaking exciting is that? Tip number 1, get there early. Recruitment fairs are freaking busy places, so I advise you to get there early. That way you're closer to the front of the line, you're in talking to camp sooner, and therefore you have a higher chance of getting hired before positions start to fill up. I don't know why I started doing this to get my way through the sentence. Tip number 2, print your application. I don't know if they've changed the rules now. I know when I went to the recruitment fair, the stipulation was you could only attend a recruitment fair if you've started and completed your application and also paid your first initial payment. But I know they also had payment desks downstairs if you got hired, whereby if you hadn't made your payment, you could do so then and there. Don't know if all that's changed, but anyway, I still advise print your application, have it completed and printed off for the day. That way if you do that, you've got something that the camp directors can physically have in their hands with everything about you on it, all your skills, all your qualifications, and it can also help them kind of direct what questions they want to ask you. I mean, they're probably going to have ones in mind that they want to ask everyone anyway, just as a general kind of thing, but they're going to be able to pick out little things that interest them from your application and then ask you questions based on that, and then you can get into the nitty-gritty of why you're best for them and the job that they have. And the best way to allow all that to happen is to really go for it on your application, fling everything into it, every experience you have, every qualification, every skill, get it all on there. If there was ever a time to big yourself up, it's on an application. Also on that note, they give you an option to make an application video. My advice on that, if you can, do it. Again, it's just a way for them to get a grips of who you are as a person and what your personality's like, even though they're meeting you face to face. Out with the recruitment fairs, camps don't always get the chance to do that. Things like Skype interviews aren't always done. Sometimes they'll just use the application that they find online or that they get sent online from Camp America, and if you've got a video on there, it lets them really see who you are. You're not just words on a page, you're an actual human being with a personality and quirks and a sense of humour. You get the picture. If you can make a video, I advise you to do it. Be bold. My next tip would be bring certifications or proof of qualifications if you can. On a similar note to putting everything into your application about skills that you have or experiences you've had or qualifications that you have, you can also attach things like certificates, photographs of medals that you may have won or earned. But even though you can attach them to your application in the form of like a PDF or something like that, also bring them with you to the recruitment fair, because again, it's something you can physically have with you to prove, look, I'm a badass at this thing, here's the thing that says so. It shows incentive, it shows enthusiasm, and also like just kind of backs up everything that's in your application. Moving on to tip number 4 is pretty much an extension or like a subheading to tip number 3. If you are interviewing for a position that requires a skill that you can showcase on the day in some way, bring that too. For example, if you wanted to be hired as a photographer or videographer for a camp and you could bring a portfolio of photographs or an example of something you've edited together or an example of, you know, videography work that you've done in the past, whether it's filming a wedding, whatever it might be, bring it with you. Bring it on a phone, bring it on a tablet, bring it on an iPad, bring it on paper, however you can, bring it. And even if you're not interviewing for that kind of job and you've made that application video that I mentioned earlier, bring your phone, upload it as a private file to YouTube, share it with them on the day. It's another way to make sure that they're seeing what you put your effort into and they can see how enthusiastic you are to get a job at a summer camp. Tip number 5, we're halfway through, we are getting there. Have your initial interview first. All of your application stuff and practical stuff you can do on the day and showing your video on your phone or an iPad, you know, that's all great. But if you really want to give yourself a massive boost for the recruitment fair, have your initial interview first. This means that you've had an interview by one of the certified interviewers from Camp America. They have written up a recommendation from you and they have distributed that on your online profile that camps can see. So that's, you know, a leg up in itself. And it also means that they've looked through your application, they've given feedback, they have made it with you the best it can be. Also, and this is probably one of the biggest points that really, you know, is the deciding factor for people about whether they want to have their interview first or not. If you've already had your interview, they may well have changed this, but when I went, those who had their interview already could go straight in and start speaking at camps. I was on that side, and people who hadn't had their interview had to wait, get an interview with someone first, and then move on and start speaking at camps and having interviews with them and potentially get hired. So if you've not had your interview and you're going to a recruitment fair, don't worry, all it means is that you're going through that process if that's still what they do. And if you have had your interview, you know, you're both gonna end up at the same place anyway. Again, I will say, if you've not had your interview and you're going to a recruitment fair, do not worry. You will get one done there if that's still what they do, or if they've changed it, you might get straight in the door anyway. You're all gonna end up speaking to camps anyway, so do not stress, my friend. You will be fine. In terms of interview tips and advice, it's pretty much the same as the application. Just get everything out there, be honest, and just give as much information as you can to answer the questions that they're asking you, which, being completely honest, are not grilling at all. It does not feel like an interview at all. For mine, my interviewer basically went through my application, asked any questions about skills, like, oh, you forgot to put, you know, your start and finish date here. Between what dates did you do this? To qualify for that skill and things like that. Are there certificates I could add? Are there photographs of dance medals that I could add? Things like that. As well as some general questions about, you know, why did I want to be a counsellor? What did I know about it already? Did I have, you know, a lot of support from friends and family to go away and do this? And also some questions about child protection. But honestly, do not worry about any of that. It doesn't feel like an interview at all, as I said. Mine was over smoothies in a cafe, and it was just really chill. It appeared more to be like a conversation with a friend about something really exciting. You know, they're just as excited as you are, so just, you know, feed into that vibe, show your personality, and you'll be absolutely golden. My next tip: do your research. In the lead up to a recruitment fair, they will release a list on the Camp America website of camps that will be attending, and basically a breakdown of what, you know, jobs they are hiring for at each camp. So have a look through, look and see what ones work out date wise for you, look and see what ones work out skill wise for you, and find out a little bit more about them. Maybe pick your top 5 or top 3 or top 10 if you want. But if you don't have time to do that, don't worry. When I was waiting in line, they handed out another version of this list that you could sit and like look at before you went in, and I saw people, you know, like doing research on camps on their phones, so it's, you know, nothing to worry about. You will have time to look up more about camps on the day if you want to, and it's always something that you can do like on your way in if you're traveling. It doesn't have to be days and days before. You know, it's just something you can make time to do however you feel like you need to or want to. But it does help to know a little bit about them, whether it's just before or in advance. It does help, trust me. My next tip is probably the most important one that I can tell you for a recruitment fair. Speak to people. In all seriousness, at recruitment fairs there is a bit of waiting around, or at least there was when I was there, in terms of waiting to get actually in the building. Took about an hour and a half because a lot of us got there so early. Waiting to speak to camps. I spoke to a couple and just kind of, you know, finding out more about them before I went and actually started interviewing. When I went to what would become my camp, Adirondack, and waited for my interview there, I was in line for over 2 hours. So speak to people, you know, pass the time. Everyone there is just as excited as you are to be potentially going to a summer camp, and you could also meet people that you could end up spending your summer with. So talk, enjoy. Actually, one of the girls that I met in the queue outside the door, we both ended up getting hired on that day. We both stayed in touch over Twitter. We ended up meeting at the airport. We were on the same flights and we stayed in the same hotel room at the arrivals hotel before going to our different camps. So we didn't spend our whole summer, but it was nice, you know, like with the traveling on your own thing, even though you're with a bunch of Camp America people, to have at least someone there that's familiar. So yes, speak to people, make a friend. This next tip may seem a wee bit strange, but have a good handshake. Allow me to explain. As strange as it sounds, I've actually heard employers say that they have made their mind up whether they're going to hire a person or not based on two things: their eye contact when they meet them and the handshake they give. Like, that's nuts. So just be confident, shake their hand, look them in the eye, you're not gonna turn to stone, I swear. Now for my next tip, I'm gonna be embarrassingly cliche. Once you're over the hurdle of introducing yourself to the people you will be interviewed by, be yourself. You are human. Be human. Answer questions honestly. They're not gonna think any less of you if you're honest. Like, one of the questions I was asked was, what would you consider your biggest flaw to be? And I think it was one of those trick questions where it's like, I'm gonna see if this person says they have no flaws, in which case, you lying. What if you lying? So be human. Be you. Like, there's nothing else. Just be you. Just chillax. And my last tip, we've made it to the end. If you do not get hired on the day at a recruitment fair, do not feel disheartened. The number of people that get hired for summer camps through Camp America alone every year, and the number of people who get hired at recruitment fairs is so different. So if you don't get hired on the day, don't feel upset, don't feel disheartened, don't feel worried or concerned. There are still so many other camps out there. A very small portion of them attend the recruitment fairs. It could just be that the camp that is right for you wasn't there, and I firmly believe that you go to the camp that is right for you. Like, I don't think if I went to any other summer camp it would have been right for me at all. I believe that. So even after the recruitment fair, you can still get hired online, you can still have Skype interviews, all that fun stuff. So do not stress, relax. What will be will be. Who said that? I feel like someone really old and wise said that. Maybe it was me. Aye, true, I'm old and wise. Alrighty, those are my tips for the recruitment fair interview application process. I could talk about it constantly, so this is a very condensed version. I'll make sure that I leave a link in the description to the list of recruitment fair dates from the Camp America website if I can find it. If not, I'll just list them down there so you can see when those are. Also, please let me know in the comments if you would like to see more Camp America advice-like videos. Like, if you have questions, leave them in the comments. I could do a Q&A if you guys wanted. I did do a packing tips video, but that was like 2 years ago, so I could update that based on, you know, my second year's experience of doing it. I could do advice on travel. Honestly, just let me know. I would love to help you guys, you know, get the most out of your experience, because I was very fortunate enough to have the experience that I did over the past 2 years. And if, you know, I can help people feel more at ease or confident with, you know, giving it a try and potentially having a great experience themselves, I would love to do that. But I am done for now. I will make sure to link the Camp America playlist that I did for them is up there. Look at that. Also, handy dandy travel playlist down there that includes some videos from post-camp travels from last year. Links to these social medias will be in the description as always, but other than that, much love you guys. If you're going to the Edinburgh Recruitment Fair, good freaking luck, have a fantastic time, and I shall see you all later this week on a day that's yet to be decided. Bye!